Captain Eli Mercer stepped cautiously through the silent corridors of Zephyr 9, his flashlight cutting through the swirling dust like a hesitant blade. The derelict Syrex research station hung above the barren moon Illista, its hull ruptured by decades of neglect, wires hanging limp like lifeless vines. Mercer's pulse quickened with every step, senses heightened by years of instinctual vigilance. Beside him, Dr. Sora Cade carefully monitored her sensor, her brow furrowed beneath the respirator mask, eyes darting anxiously over the data readings. "Thermal pocket stable, 6 meters below," she reported softly. Structural analyst Maya Lin moved forward, signaling the excavation team to prepare portable borers. Her calm demeanor belied the tension gripping her muscles, fingers trembling slightly as she managed the delicate operation. Sparks danced briefly as metal groaned under stress, yielding to the precision of their instruments. The panel finally gave way, collapsing inward to reveal a cylindrical object embedded deep within the structure. Its surface was ornately decorated, glowing gently with blue fractal glyphs. "Syrex ceremonial design," Maya murmured, awe-stricken. "It's untouched." Mercer knelt slowly, cautiously activating his portable relay box. "No uplinks," he instructed quietly. "Local interface only." As the connection engaged, a shudder passed through the cylinder. Veins of brilliant sapphire pulsed momentarily before a sharp, alarming click echoed through the chamber. Warning glyphs flared to life, illuminating the walls in urgent crimson. "Self-destruct sequence initiated," Cade gasped, panic rising. "Abort," Maya commanded, her voice cracking. Mercer braced for impact, heart racing. But the glyphs faded abruptly into darkness. Silence returned, thick with unspoken dread. "Power failure," Cade whispered shakily, visibly relieved yet haunted. Mercer, however, felt no relief. His wrist pad displayed decrypted data, clear and ominous. "Strategic cull authorization. High conclave." "Copy everything," Mercer instructed with grim certainty. "Black Sky protocols. No broadcasts." In a hidden sublevel beneath Geneva, General Marcus Hale observed impassively as decrypted Syrex data appeared, illuminating the darkened chamber in ghostly reflections. Around him, 4 senior officers stood frozen, awaiting his command. His expression was unreadable, but tension radiated subtly from his rigid posture. "Quantum silent packet ready," a technician murmured quietly from a shadowed console. Hale nodded minutely. "Proceed." A silent burst of encoded data leapt invisibly from Geneva, racing through layers of military-grade encryption towards distant points across the solar system. Near Titan, aboard a remote weather monitoring array disguised cleverly among a cluster of scientific instruments, a solitary indicator flickered briefly green, acknowledging receipt. The device, unnoticed by civilian operators, seamlessly returned to dormancy. On Enceladus, within a small sensor outpost carved deep beneath icy layers, technician Amelia Brooks frowned at her screen. "Telemetry anomaly," she muttered, fingers tapping uncertainly on her console. The spike disappeared abruptly. "Ghost in the system," she sighed dismissively, shaking her head and returning her attention to routine diagnostics. Hidden beneath Europa's frozen oceans, long dormant sensor arrays stirred gently, quietly activating and aligning briefly to confirm readiness. Technician Omar Kella, managing maintenance operations above, glanced curiously at his display as it registered the fleeting anomaly. "Interference," he concluded dismissively, noting it in his log before resuming his work. Across Earth, at rural relay stations nestled discreetly among farmland, forgotten systems pulsed momentarily. Villagers nearby noticed nothing, their daily routines undisturbed, unaware of the crucial signals quietly exchanged beneath their feet. Within minutes, Earth's clandestine defensive network, woven subtly into civilian infrastructure over decades, confirmed operational readiness. No alarms sounded. No personnel beyond the innermost circles even knew anything had transpired. Humanity's silent defensive web had awakened briefly, assuring General Hale and those few privy to its existence that their quiet preparations had borne fruit. Hale stepped back, letting the shadow consume him once more. "All stations confirmed," he said quietly, his voice carrying immense gravity. "Maintain silent vigilance." The officers around him nodded grimly, returning silently to their stations, awaiting further developments in this hidden conflict. A war not yet declared, yet quietly underway. For 30 long, silent years, humanity patiently wove its intricate web of hidden strength. After the devastating, coordinated strikes against colonies Ravel, Hanam, and Solus Theta, Earth had responded not with overt aggression, but subtle and methodical preparation. In the sprawling Martian metropolis of Argyris, civilian contractors quietly completed hydroponic hubs ahead of schedule, unaware of the reinforced silos beneath their feet. Workers like engineer Clara Davos signed off on construction projects without suspicion, accepting bonuses gratefully, blind to the railgun emplacements concealed within environmental stabilizers. On the outskirts of civilization, in the frigid reaches of the Kuiper Belt, ostensibly scientific observatories secretly tested sophisticated laser arrays under the guise of astronomical surveys. Technicians dutifully logged star movements, oblivious to the true purpose of their installations. Silent laser pulses reached out into the dark void, connecting discreetly to hidden arrays placed strategically along anticipated enemy routes. At Erebus Station, orbiting silently around Europa, General Hale's son, Orion, underwent rigorous clandestine training. His life revolved around star charts stripped of political boundaries, tactical simulations, and carefully veiled discussions about hypothetical scenarios. Orion absorbed knowledge silently, never questioning, always understanding that his role was critical to a war humanity refused to announce openly. Across Earth's territories, seemingly innocuous upgrades to infrastructure concealed sophisticated defensive capabilities. Civilian administrators diligently signed off on power grid updates, environmental control improvements, and telecommunications enhancements, never suspecting the true nature of their tasks. Each signed document subtly strengthened Earth's silent defensive posture. The general population remained blissfully unaware of these preparations. Life continued normally, peaceful routines uninterrupted by alarms or visible threats. Humanity's quiet strength grew beneath a facade of peaceful coexistence, each passing year reinforcing Earth's secret readiness. Orion Hale stood quietly on Erebus Station's observation deck, gazing thoughtfully at Jupiter's swirling storms. His instructor, Colonel Reynolds, joined him silently, nodding towards the distant stars. "Patience," Reynolds counseled gently. "Our enemy believes us weak because we have chosen silence. Let them believe." Orion met Reynolds' gaze steadily, understanding completely. The silent war had already begun, fought patiently over decades, invisible and unacknowledged. When the moment comes, Orion responded softly, conviction evident in his voice, they will learn their mistake. Reynolds nodded approvingly, the two figures standing silently side by side, waiting with patient certainty for the inevitable confrontation. The Galactic Council Assembly Chamber aboard Azimuth Station buzzed with nervous anticipation, filled with delegates representing diverse worlds and civilizations. The vast room, illuminated by a gentle bioluminescent glow, emitted from ornate coral-like walls, pulsed gently, reflecting the unease simmering beneath diplomatic decorum. Syrex Counselor Vasha Cole stepped forward, her elegant form silhouetted against the softly glowing backdrop. Cole spoke with calm precision, her voice modulated to project serenity even while delivering demands. Human settlements must evacuate 3 critical systems, Celes, Coria, and Helix Verge. Ecological harmony mandates this realignment. A murmur swept the chamber, eyes darting toward the empty human delegation platform. Tension visibly mounted as moments passed without response. Finally, screens around the chamber flickered unexpectedly, and Orion Hale's face appeared. He spoke with a calmness that resonated powerfully, his voice carrying a chill of iron resolve. 31 years ago, the Syrex High Conclave authorized the destruction of human colonies Ravel, Hanum, and Solus Theta. Orion stated evenly, his tone brooking no argument. The screens filled with encrypted glyphs and authorization seals, their authenticity unmistakable. Gasps echoed softly through the chamber, delegates exchanging worried glances, stunned into silence. We possess undeniable proof, Orion continued, his words precise and unyielding. The Treaty of Accord is hereby terminated. The screens abruptly went dark, plunging the chamber into a profound, unsettling silence. The delegates stood frozen, momentarily paralyzed by the sudden severance of diplomatic norms. As the lights slowly returned, muted discussions erupted, panic evident in hushed, urgent exchanges. Across countless systems, seemingly peaceful human installations quietly transformed. Orbital farms revealed hidden weapon arrays. Communications satellites activated previously dormant jamming systems. Seemingly innocuous civilian infrastructure unfolded into complex defensive networks. Without firing a single shot, humanity began sealing strategic corridors, systematically isolating Syrex outposts. On Azimuth Station, confusion gradually shifted to dawning realization. Counselor Cole stood rigidly, her expression betraying rising concern. Humanity has declared silent war, murmured a nearby delegate, their voice quivering with barely suppressed anxiety. From his concealed command center, Orion Hale observed the unfolding events with calm satisfaction. Humanity's decades-long patience had culminated in this decisive moment. A silent declaration of strength, meticulously prepared and flawlessly executed. Chaos rippled outward from the Galactic Council Assembly, radiating swiftly throughout Syrex-controlled systems. Confusion quickly transformed into panic as communications networks suddenly filled with distorted ghost-like signals. Syrex operators desperately attempted to isolate and identify fleets of phantom ships appearing and disappearing unpredictably on sensor arrays. Commander Terrell stood rigidly on the bridge of the Syrex warship Syrex, frustration evident in his clenched fists. "Where are these readings coming from? Identify the ships!" he barked harshly, eyes flashing angrily at the confused sensor operator. "They vanish upon closer inspection, Commander," stammered the operator nervously, fingers trembling over the console. I can't confirm their existence." Aboard distant medical vessels, alarmed crew members watched helplessly as critical shipments vanished mid-transit, medical supplies abruptly rerouted to nowhere. Hospitals on isolated colonies began reporting shortages, the first signs of silent human intervention becoming painfully evident. At a civilian relay station near Korea, Syrex technician Alara Jex stared at her screen in disbelief, panic edging her voice. "All communications are rerouting. Nothing reaches its intended destination." "Impossible," her supervisor muttered, scanning futilely through console readings. "We're isolated." The Syrex Ninth Fleet, a powerful assembly of warships, attempted an emergency maneuver, a classic containment reversal designed to regroup scattered forces. Admiral Varys Thrain watched anxiously from the command deck, his gaze fixed on tactical displays. "Engage maneuver," he ordered firmly. Yet, as the fleet began to reposition, invisible traps laid decades prior by human planners activated with chilling precision. Gravitational anomalies sprang to life, tearing apart vessels caught unaware. Ships twisted violently, engines failing spectacularly as hulls fractured under impossible stresses. Admiral Thrain watched helplessly as entire sections of his fleet vanished into silent explosions. In moments, the terrifying realization spread among surviving crew members. The humans had anticipated every possible move, meticulously planning this silent confrontation for decades. Far away, on Erebus Station, Orion Hale monitored the unfolding chaos impassively. Beside him stood Lieutenant Maya Lin, observing the intricate web of containment quietly strangling the Syrex Empire. "They're trapped," Maya murmured uneasily. "Even their civilians." Orion's gaze remained fixed on the tactical map, his expression unreadable. "Necessary containment," he replied softly. "No alternatives." Syrex vessels drifted aimlessly, locked in hopeless confusion and fear. Crews frantically attempted to communicate, their desperate transmissions echoing into empty silence. Humanity's quiet, methodical campaign had fully activated, systematically dismantling enemy capabilities without ever firing a single direct shot. In their silent struggle, the Syrex began to grasp the terrifying reality. Earth had already won a war they had not realized had begun until it was far too late. The Ninth Fleet limped away from Korea's fringes, battered and disoriented. Admiral Thrain's flagship, Syrex, led the retreat through the outer corridors towards Helion S4, a desert planet charted as neutral and non-strategic. Hope flickered among the ranks that they would find refuge there. As thrusters engaged, the fleet's mood soured into uneasy silence. Crew quarters buzzed with tense whispers. Lieutenant Kesai, navigation officer aboard Syrex, noted anomalous sensor readings. "Sir, I'm detecting sub-percent gravitic fluctuations, unaccounted for mass signatures," Kesai reported, voice tight. "Ignore it," Thrain snapped. "Focus on transit." But unease gnawed at the bridge. Below Helion's rust-colored dunes, hidden beneath kilometers of sand, dormant defense arrays stirred. On the planetary surface, Geologists mapping mineral veins paused as subterranean capacitors hummed to life. Automated surveying drones, programmed for atmospheric readings, shifted to tactical alignment. Moments before exit interface, hulking spires erupted from the sands. Obsidian towers of unknown origin, deploying rail-imp batteries and gravitic anchors. The horizon glowed with the rise of mechanical pillars, their surfaces gleaming ominously under Helion's twin suns. Back in space, tremors rippled through the fleet. Shield generators overloaded. Momentary arcs of energy crackled across hull plating. Systems faltered under synchronized gravitational distortions. "Report!" Thrain roared into comms. "We're locked in placebo gravity wells," Kasai gasped. "All escape vectors are corrupting, drives stalling." Panic bloomed. Transport frigates spun off course, barely held by emergency thrusts. A civilian tug attempting to flee careened into an invisible barrier and drifted powerless. On Syrex, Thrain pounded the console. "Open fire!" he demanded, but weapon systems failed to target the silent towers on Helion's surface. A calm broadcast crackled through encrypted military channels. "You knew the lie. We never forgot. Silence, now." The message repeated across every band, authoritative and unyielding. As despair settled, Syrex and support vessels found themselves imprisoned within a silent bubble of human engineering. No shots fired, no overt assault, yet total containment achieved. Shocked crews exchanged fearful glances, understanding at last that humanity's long patience had culminated in this expertly orchestrated trap. The Ninth Fleet was broken, held hostage by an enemy they never recognized until it was too late. Erebus Command's central chamber was quiet, almost unsettling after the roar of containment protocols. Soft, luminescent panels traced star paths across the ceiling, reflecting off sleek white consoles. Orion Hale stood before the largest holomap, fingers hovering over a tactile display. Each sealed corridor, each deactivated node, glowed dim gray against a backdrop of vibrant star systems. Lieutenant Maya Lin approached, her boots soundless on the polished floor. She studied the map, noting fresh closures along critical trade routes. "Corridors 12 through 16 are now offline," she reported, voice low. Orion didn't respond immediately, eyes fixed on the grid. Every potential escape sealed. He traced his gloved fingertip along the final unclosed path. "Tomorrow, they won't have anywhere left to go." Maya hesitated, shifting uneasily. "Sir, even neutral civilian vessels are restricted. Cargo convoys, medical transports, they're all locked out." The silence stretched between them as Orion absorbed her words. Finally, he exhaled softly. "When we began this, we understood the stakes." Maya studied him, searching behind his calm facade. "I know, but we're cutting off food, medicine. Lives will be lost without direct conflict. Is that acceptable collateral?" Orion turned slowly, meeting her gaze. "They targeted Ravel, Hanem, Solas Theta. They erased innocent colonies without hesitation. This is containment, not genocide. We're starving their war machine, not their children." Maya closed her eyes briefly, recalling images from the field, Syrex families huddled in frozen corridors, ration lines growing desperate. Sometimes, I wonder if there was another way." Orion stepped closer, voice gentle but resolute. War rarely offers clean choices. We chose silence. Patience, they chose violence. Now they face the consequences. She nodded slowly, though uncertainty lingered. Together, they returned to the holomap. Across the chamber, communications consoles blinked softly. Tactical Officer Ryan Kim called out, "Global Strategic Secretariat requests permission to transition to peace directives. They propose opening limited humanitarian corridors under our supervision." Orion raised an eyebrow. "Reviewed? Protocols recommend denial until Syrex Command fully surrenders. Collateral channels risk exposure." He considered this, fingers tapping the map idly. "Not yet. Risk remains too high." Maya watched his deliberate calm, understanding the calculus behind his decision. "I just hope the galaxy remembers this as defense, not cruelty." Orion's gaze softened. "Then we will write the history ourselves. We'll broadcast evidence, show every Syrex maneuver, every order from the Conclave. The truth will justify our restraint." Maya nodded, relief mingled with resolve. "Agreed. We'll prepare the records." He turned back to the holomap, tracing the final arc of containment. "Once the evidence is public, Syrex systems will understand why they were sealed. They may hate us, but they will respect the silence that won their freedom." Maya's posture straightened. "Shall I inform the medical teams to begin contingency aid scenarios?" Orion paused, then nodded. "Yes, under strict review. No broad reopenings, only targeted relief with oversight. We maintain strategic advantage until they concede." She exited swiftly to relay orders. Orion remained, alone with the glowing map. The silence of victory enveloped him, a quiet so complete it echoed louder than any battlefield roar. He placed a hand on the control panel, voice low in the empty chamber. "The map is complete. Now we hold." Weeks passed since the silent trap closed around Helion S4. The crimson containment dome slowly dimmed to a translucent glow, a constant reminder etched against the star-speckled void. Below in orbit, the Syrex Ninth Fleet remained immobilized. No engines fired, no weapons charged. Their once mighty vessels drifted like wounded leviathans, powerless and uncertain. Deep within Syrex home territories, panicked envoys attempted to reopen diplomatic channels. Screens flickered to life on makeshift consoles in corridors of power, vast halls carved from living crystal webs, humming with uneasy energy. Counselor Vasha Cole, her form draped in formal robes of shifting iridescence, stared at the blank reply board. She tapped a call request that never connected, her mandibles twitching with contained fury and desperation. In the grand archives of Syrex High Conclave, historians scoured ancient records and battle logs, seeking explanations. An aide read aloud from seizure reports. "All sensor arrays across Central Cluster report ghost fleets. No communication until surrender directives." Silence followed, heavier than any complaint. On the fringe colony of Sauron's Edge, a Syrex schoolteacher named Realia Tess pointed to a holographic star map in her crowded classroom. Wide-eyed hatchlings leaned forward as she traced grayed corridors once bustling with trade. "Why is the map empty?" one child asked, voice trembling. Realia swallowed. "Because our neighbors have closed their hearts to us," she said softly. We must learn from this silence. Tears glistened in some student eyes. Others blinked in confusion. Outside, the sky over Soren's edge remained calm, storms of color drifting across the horizon. Yet below, fear and uncertainty roiled. Back on Earth, a serene morning dawned over Geneva's Parliament building. Tourists strolled unaware through manicured gardens. Beneath the fountains, hidden bunkers thrummed with secure traffic, encrypted data flowing like silent rivers. General Marcus Hale walked along the cobblestone paths, hands clasped behind his back. He paused at a peak overlooking the city, where sunlight glinted off spires and domes. He breathed deeply, the weight of decisions etched upon his weathered features. "We've broken them," he said to no one in particular, "without a single casualty on our side." A staff officer approached, offering a data slate. "Sir, the Syrex credit markets have collapsed by 60% in the last 2 days. Their internal dissent is rising. They're seeking leadership changes." Hale nodded thoughtfully. "Let them fracture. Their recovery must come from within. We'll offer terms once their council splinters." Meanwhile, in clandestine meeting rooms on Luna, Orion Hale reviewed detailed reports of containment outcomes. Lieutenant Maya Lin stood beside him, adjusting tactical overlays on a holo display. "Civilians are starving in distant sectors," Maya reported, concern lacing her voice. "Limited aid corridors have prevented mass casualties, but we're seeing distress signals from medical stations on 4 worlds." Orion placed a hand on her shoulder, his gaze distant. "Open targeted corridors for essential supplies," he decided. "Monitor every shipment. No loopholes. We help those in dire need, but no concessions on strategic nodes." Maya hesitated, then nodded, relief and resolve mingling in her expression. "Understood. I'll oversee implementation personally." Orion turned away, looking out through the transparent walls into the swirling cosmos. "In silence, we forged peace," he murmured. "Let history remember it as restraint, not cruelty." On a remote station orbiting Mercury, human engineers calibrated sensor arrays to re-establish controlled communications. Soft tones of classical music crackled through secure frequencies. Beethoven's Seventh, chosen for its quiet determination. Below, Syrex technicians listened curiously, their antenna-like appendages twitching to the unfamiliar melodies. Some hummed along, drawn by the haunting harmonies. Music, a language beyond politics, flowed across the void, subtly bridging worlds. In a secluded wing of Erebus Station, refugees from Syrex territories gathered quietly, escorted gently by human volunteers. Children, their curious eyes bright, reached out to touch the soft fabric of Earth's uniforms. An elderly Syrex woman whispered a tentative greeting. A human guide responded with a warm smile and a gentle nod. Across the galaxy, news op-eds and lyric web commentators debated the events. Was this justice or cruelty? Some praised humanity's precision, others condemned its cold efficiency. Yet, amid the clamor, a new understanding emerged. War need not be loud to be decisive. As months turned into a season, Syrex delegates tentatively approached neutral tables aboard the rebuilt Azimuth station. The Syrex conclave, fractured by internal dissent, sought a path to survival. Human representatives, led by Orion and Maya, arrived in formal quiet. extending hands of negotiation marked by unspoken dominance. In hushed tones, they began drafting terms, a compact bound by transparency, oversight, and a shared commitment to prevent further hidden wars. The first articles mandated disarmament of all clandestine arrays. The second established verification nodes on Lysara Prime, monitored by joint teams. When the final signature blinked onto the treaty holoscreen, Orion closed the file with a soft click. He faced Vasha Cole across the table. Neither spoke. In their silence, 1,000 unspoken words passed. Respect, wariness, and a fragile hope intertwined. Outside the chamber, a lone comet arced across the star fields, a silent witness to a galaxy forever changed by a war fought in whispers and shadows.